Great, hi Mark, good to see you
Hi.
today, and thank you for joining me today on the An Audience With series. So first of all, it'd just be good for you to tell us a bit about Sutton Music Centre and how RSL Awards fits into your business.
Sure, yeah. So we're the exam centre, Sutton Music Centre. We also have a retail store as well. So we have the sort of crossover between the two, and we also offer lessons. We have some students taking RSL exams, and it's just a great thing to be a part of, because seeing pupils and candidates come through and seeing the progression, even as an exam centre, is fantastic, because you see the same people coming and they work their way up the grades. It's really great. You know? It's a really nice thing to be a part of. But also we've been doing, we've been an exam centre for a long time now, probably maybe about 11 years, something like that. So we've seen a lot of candidates over the years. And we've always had a good experience. Examiner's always great, and it's not that old sort of stuffy classical exam feeling that I used to experience playing the trumpet. But so it's just it's a positive thing, our involvement. So it's great.
And maybe a bit about what your own route was into music and music education.
Okay. Well, I have to admit to being a drummer. So I started on the trumpet. So and then I'd sort of graduated onto drums, and largely self-taught. Gradually drums overtook trumpet, which sometimes I regret when I'm packing up the drums at night. I think, why didn't I just stick to the trumpet and just put the trumpet in the case and go home? But I actually got into a sort of military band with the drumming as a teenager, and that was great for my reading, because we just piled through loads of material, concert material, and I learned sort of tune percussion as well. And then just sort of gradually got to that point where I decided to turn professional, and I did that for many years, and then until kind of took on the family business and developed this side of things. So I still do a lot of gigs, so still got my toe in the water.
And maybe a bit about sort of the kind of music that inspired you to learn your instrument, or your sort of first song maybe you learned to play, or the artist you grew up
weirdly it was sort of the military band route, which I don't know why I was, but as a kid I was just sort of drawn to it, and my parents took me, I think when I was really young, sort of 5 or 6, to a military band concert, and I was just like, this is what I want to do, that it's maybe not a sort of classic sort of route in, but it gave me loads of great experiences, playing wise and performing wise. Got me in really early as a teenager as for playing and performing. And then gradually my sort of love of jazz developed, and that kind of got me, broadened my sort of musical influences, I suppose.
Brilliant.
So I wasn't just playing marches.
No, exactly. That's great. And I guess maybe a bit about you said you've got quite a large amount of teachers here as well, and a bit about how they find teaching RSL. You mentioned you've got a few sort of piano.
The piano syllabus is very popular, because obviously the more contemporary side is what a lot of people want to learn. Obviously that's slightly more difficult, I think, than the classical route, because I think you need to be at a certain level for that style of music to sound right. So the voicings on a piano just kind of don't sound right at grade 1 level, where you got that ability to play a certain voicing. So slightly further up the grades, I think it really works really well. And that thing of playing along to a track, being a drummer, I'd like to encourage all piano players to be able to play in time.
So sort of key points of being a musician, and
absolutely, playing with other people, and although it's a track, it's a really good route into doing that.
Brilliant. And maybe I guess how do you encourage your students to practice as well? Any kind of key points? I know when I was learning and teaching, it's always quite a thing to keep engaged with.
It is. you know, ultimately, until you've got a certain amount of facility on an instrument, you don't really get enough back to encourage you to practice. So you've either got to be inspired by the tutor or a, you know, musical influence, or have good support from the parents, because you've got to get over that bump. You know, it's that you know, day one you can't play the piano, you can't, well, maybe you can play the drums on day one. No, not really. So you I think if you can get past that bit, the instrument starts giving you that inspiration. But here, fortunately, we see a lot of the parents, because you tend not to get that in schools, because obviously the kids are at school, and so that one-to-one interaction with the parent doesn't happen. But here, parents dropping pupils off for the lessons, that's a really valuable thing, and with the support of the parents, so that's really the key thing. And we always say just sort of short, regular practice sessions is the way to go, rather than trying to do an hour and a half in one go. Just regular time, so you develop muscle memory, and that's really the key to it. You know, maybe getting up earlier and doing 20 minutes before you go to school is a good thing to do.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then I guess a bit about, obviously you're a public exam centre as well as a champion centre for RSL Awards, and obviously you have your exam day coming up. And maybe a bit about how you currently organise your exam venue and that kind of thing.
So we have quite a large exam room, so obviously we set the room up the night before generally to the exams, and depending on the instruments on the timetable, we set it up differently. But on the exam day, when the candidates arrive, we just greet them, make sure they've got everything they need, and which actually having a music shop is quite a good thing. If they've forgotten their book or sticks or something, you know, that's saved a few lives.
Of course.
And then we just let them warm up, prepare for the exam, and then we have this doorbell system. It's very high tech. From Argos, $14.99. But basically, the examiner can press the button to let them know that they're ready, and it means then the candidate's not hanging around in a sort of drafty corridor. It means they can be warming up, and then we can help them go through to the exam when it's time. And you know, as I say, we have, you know, most of the time very happy candidates. Occasionally, you know, someone you know, is very nervous, but you know, they all come out smiling, and the examiners are great and relaxed and encouraging, and that's what you want. You want it to be a positive experience. So it's always great to see them come out of the exam and they're smiling and happy to have done it, and and then we see them next time for the next grade.
No, and I guess maybe a bit about working with RSL and our exams team. About obviously you get in touch with them, schedule the dates.
So schedule that in, and you know, sometimes it's a tricky one, because obviously RSL don't know how many candidates they're going to get for a certain exam period, so we pencil some dates in and they get sort of confirmed, and that's all runs smoothly, and we actually download the schedule from the RSL site, so it's all very smooth. We get the latest version of the list of candidates, so there's never that sort of discrepancy, or you know, rarely. So it's really good, and I believe sort of from the comms side of things with the candidate, that's pretty good. So if there's obviously reorganising or scheduling to be done, they're open to that and helpful.
Of course.
Because obviously everyone has things that come up that are unforeseen. So that's really helpful.
But maybe a bit about marketing. Obviously, we have a editable flyer which you have, and I guess it's good to maybe have that within sort of social media or mail outs ahead of the exam day. To sort of
we're rubbish at marketing. We are. We're notoriously rubbish at marketing. But I would say that's quite a useful thing to let people know that exams are coming up. And we often sort of add things to our social media saying, "Oh, we got an exam today. You know, good luck to candidates." Blah blah blah. So, it's something we should look at more, maybe to just give people the heads up that the exams are coming up, and we can maybe sort of publicise the public dates a bit more
definitely.
than we do at the moment.
And I think obviously you're on our UK map as a public exam centre, and then we're also talking about getting you set up as on our teacher registry as well. So that's as an institution, which would be brilliant. So then you can, people can see you on there.
That'd be great.
With your information. Brilliant. And then I guess, what do you ask your students to bring with them to their exam day? Maybe obviously instruments, sticks, that kind of thing.
Yes.
Stuff,
So pretty standard thing. I mean, as I say, we're quite lucky here that we do have the backup of being a retail store as well. So if someone's forgotten something, we can take care of that. But I think it's all part of training as a musician, is sort of being prepared. And the many sort of gigs I do, quite often the logistical part is important. You've got to think, have I got the right cymbals for this gig? Have I got the right snare drum? And and quite often this is at like 7:30 in the morning because you're out all day, and then so that's all part of
sort of holistic learning, is sort of
I think so. It's a good thing. It kind of forces that thing where there is, I wouldn't say pressure, but there's a commitment needed to making sure that you've got the right equipment with you, and that's all good part of training of being a musician.
And I guess helping students might be a bit nervous on the day as well, their exam. I guess it's quite good that you have your warm-up room as well, which maybe helps with that. And maybe you kind of do mock exams maybe within sort of lessons beforehand as well.
Well, I like to think that we're very friendly here. That's my approach to the retail store as well as the academy. So obviously we want to make people feel at ease and not put extra pressure on them. So the warm-up room really helps, gives them a space where they can, not everyone wants to warm up, especially at 9 in the morning playing the drums. I'm not sure. Is that anything anyone wants to do? But so we try and put people at ease. And with mock exams, it's something we're looking to do a bit more. We've offered it to our students, for example, during the summer holidays when our studios aren't being used for lessons. We can make the actual exam room available for, just trying the equipment out and having a practice. So we'll be looking to do a bit more of that. And I think just taking an exam in a familiar environment, for our students to have exams here, it's really helpful.
Definitely. And maybe a bit about, obviously RSL have our digital exams, which can be recorded, digital, or even live stream as well. So that's obviously a great alternative as well for any students that would like to do that. And I don't know if you have any experience at all as of yet of any kind of digital exams.
Obviously with COVID, he says coughing. It was a bit of a surprise as to how that kind of works out, because you think online, that's great, that's a great option, it's really easy, but doing it in one take, for example, and getting the right sort of camera angles and getting the sound, there's quite a bit of extra stuff,
technical,
exactly, that you wouldn't deal with in a face-to-face exam. And it has its own pressures that, if you play 2 pieces really well and you're onto your 3rd piece and you don't want to make a mistake because then you have to redo the whole thing, that's quite a thing. And again, it's another skill that is good to learn and experience. So maybe a mix of the online and the face-to-face is good. Maybe doing an online lesson exam is a good thing to mix it up. Because I think that's a valuable experience.
Brilliant. And I guess sort of finishing off about RSL and our qualifications, we talked a bit about others that you might be interested in. We also have our classical guitar syllabus we've recently launched. We also have classical piano, violin, as well as our vocational qualifications. So lots of things to think about. Other offerings, we've got music production, also the world's first grades in blogging and podcasting. So I guess it's just having to think of, if there's students that might fit into those pathways or be interested in.
I think so. I mean, just having those pathways available is great, you know, because a lot of, I mean, even with on our public exam days, we get a lot of candidates that come through that we've seen regularly, and they get to grade 8 and then, well, what do I do now? Because they kind of they miss that goal thing. So it's good to know that there is a route for them to go. And you know, I think the way expanding is a good thing, because I think, you know, although there are sort of classical exams that exist already, I think just having a slightly different approach is probably not a bad thing, because you know, things have moved on a long way over the years. And when I think back to some of the exams I took on trumpet, it was, you know, it's completely, it was a different thing to the experience of an RSL exam with contemporary instruments, and if that can be brought into the classical side, I think that's a good thing. And you know, because I'm so old, there were no drum kit exams when I was learning. I think all those options, the more options people have, the better. Yeah,
brilliant. Great. And also we do have our sort of professional diplomas, sort of within career development for teachers, so that could do those as well to have on their CV, which is great. As well as our sort of level 3 certificate in sporting learning, and also in music and performing arts. And then finally, what's next for Sutton Music? Obviously,
world domination. We're going to take over the world. No. Well, I think for us, although, you know, being an exam centre is important, it's about enjoying playing and learning music. Really, it's not goal or exam orientated. So I think we'd like to, you know, carry along that road. But you know, I think the more sort of higher educational pathways would be really helpful for a lot of students that in the local area don't have the options at school, at sixth form, maybe to have somewhere local that they can go to. So we'll be looking at that. But I think for me it's just head down, carry on, work hard, and just try and do everything we do as well as we can do it. You know, there is limitations. You know, we're not superhuman, but that for me, that's what we try and do, is just try and do everything as well as we can. Yeah,
absolutely. Great. Well, thank you very much, Mark, for today.
You're welcome. And, great to see you.
Thanks again.
And thanks for the plaque.
Yeah, brilliant.
DIY this afternoon.